Welcome back to the B&B podcast. My name is Jaden Boyce. Alongside me is Coach Bailey and a special guest, the biggest Packer fan we know, the founder of the Premium Waters Award, the Brad Wester is in the building.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Excited to talk Pack.
Talk Pack, and I mean, you were on the field with the Packers 2 games ago on New Year's Eve, were you not?
Yeah. We do all the water for the Vikings, so got some sideline passes and showed up early and got to spend some time with a few Packer players and shake some hands, and it's good. And then the bonus was seeing them beat the Vikes. So
isn't it crazy when you get like that close to an NFL player, just how big they are?
Yeah.
Like on TV, they're all big, so they don't stand. But when you're standing next to them, it's like, oh my God, this guy is a monster.
Yeah,
like
they
Quadzilla. Definitely
don't look that big on TV, and you stand next to them, and their arms, their legs, they're massive.
Especially A.J. Dillon. Like his quads are the size of an oak tree. I mean, it's Quadzilla. Yeah, Quadzilla.
I feel bad from every time he runs, like the players only tackle like his knees. It's like, how does he stand up?
Right. Yeah, he's a massive dude. I mean, it was cool. The Packers GM was on the field, and it's just they're real perceptive to the kids and taking pictures, and it was a fun experience, once in a lifetime.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'll say, being a Packer fan, definitely the best fan to be of. Because, when you're just thinking of all the teams, Packers, Green Bay, what's in Green Bay besides football? It's only football in Green Bay. And just a nice little humble organization.
Hey, Door County's over there. If you haven't been to Door County yet, you need to go. It's a pretty nice place. But
it's a nice area.
But, you think of, small market teams, right, versus... It's not L.A., it's not Atlanta, it's not Dallas, it's not Chicago. It's Green Bay. There's what's the tallest building, like a Culver's?
But no, this upcoming week, we've been talking about it forever right now. Brad, the Green Bay Packers, we got off to a slow start to the season. We started off hot against the Bears, and then Jordan Love, I was like, okay, I'm going to be patient. We might not make the playoffs, and I'm fine with that. But then, out of nowhere, this man said, I can play with some of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Absolutely.
And he led the youngest team ever to make the playoffs this year. Good golly, Miss Molly, I'm excited for this Sunday.
Hey, 32 touchdowns. For technically a rookie coming in on the field, playing like he did, we all expected we were going to see some ups and downs, right? Young team, young quarterback, chip in a chair, and here we are. We're excited.
If he doesn't have those low spots, that would arguably be the best rookie first-year performance of all time.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, it's expected. The guy, it's his first year starting. He's not going to go out there and throw 5 touchdowns and 0 picks every week. He did a couple of weeks have some big games, but...
Well, we have high expectations, right? We came from Brett Favre. We have Aaron Rodgers. We're usually a little critical on our quarterbacks, so seeing him come out and throw, which may not have been the most accurate quarterback right away, but from week to week to week, how much better he's gotten, and the young crew at wide receiver, watching them step up, and no names coming out of there, right? And just everybody's making plays, and we have a chance.
That's what I really look at, too, is the offensive side of the ball, these young receivers. Dontavius Wicks, I don't even know what this guy was doing before this. You got Jaden Reed, obviously. We had high expectations, but he has fulfilled and done even more with those expectations. Mo Melton, what is this guy from Mo from on CBS? Who are these guys? Malik Heath. These random guys coming in and stepping up, and then I think we might have the best tight end duo in the NFL, arguably, when they're healthy. Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave are exceptional tight ends for us.
They're good.
And you know what people are forgetting? We've had a guy on the sideline that goes by the name of Christian Watson, who's a freak and an absolute stud. He hasn't played hardly at all.
Exactly.
You throw him into the mix, now how much more open is Melton and Wicks or Heath? How open are those guys getting when you got a guy like Watson who's running 90 miles an hour down the field? Man.
Even Dobbs, you look at Dobbs, he kind of started off as our go-to when Christian was hurt, and then he kind of became quiet. You saw all the other young rookies step up. It's impressive to see the depth at such a young age. And, we have the youngest squad right now. we have the youngest team in the NFL history to make the playoffs.
Yep.
I mean, the future's looking bright in Green Bay.
It is.
I'm
It
excited.
sure is.
I do feel bad sometimes because like it's the Green Bay Packers who go from Favre to Rodgers to now Love. You look at the Bears, and oh my, their best quarterback season, like they're like 29 touchdowns, and like they're all less than Jordan Love. I just feel bad that way. We had the longest 2 months of my life for the Packers rebuilding year this year. Longest 2 months of my life. Most teams have to go through 20 years of rebuilding. We went through 2 months.
2 months, yeah.
2 months.
Grateful for that.
I just love all these not announcers, but these sports show hosts that are eating crow right now that were just ripping. Like, what was the thing about? He's like a bad first date. And you got whatever. It's like
Coward said it's like a bad second date, and the first one didn't go great either.
yeah, and, just ripping this guy apart after a couple of bad games. It's like now they're all just thinking, man, we missed it.
Yeah.
We missed this guy.
All those sports writers, it's funny to see them retract their statements and start talking about the leadership that Jordan Love shows with this young team. I mean, they're listening to him, they're following him, they're excited in the locker room. I mean, it's good to see that.
I think that's the biggest difference in this year's Packer team versus last year's, because it's not a whole lot of personnel. Like,
Right.
I mean, some might argue it's actually a step backwards in quarterback. You go from Rodgers to Love. But the guys are united. Like last year, Rodgers would come out the field, go sit on the end of the bench, look at his iPad. Wouldn't really if anything, he's yelling at guys for running the wrong route or the timing being off. This time, like I've been saying it on this show all year, like the hype, man. They come off the field and they're all vibing. They're making these funny videos and they're doing all these little clips. Jair Alexander kind of clowning around, going out. Like they're vibing, and that's what it takes, man. You got to be together.
And what I'll say about this Packer team okay, so you got Darnell Savage, Jonathan Owens, and Valentine, and all these guys who I wouldn't say are the most talented defensive players we've ever had, but they play with so much heart. They play with just like they want to win so bad, and they were sick of losing earlier. And now on the offensive side of the ball, you see all those young receivers trying to get their own. I mean, Dontavius Wicks is running routes like a young Devontae right now.
Yes.
Well, you see him make a mistake. You see Aaron Jones come up to him, grab him by the helmet, and encourage him to get back. And that's the different mindset, I think, is, we talk about Rodgers. He was the greatest quarterback, one of the greatest ever. But, as he got towards his end of his career, I think he just didn't mesh with the young guys. And Jordan Love obviously does. And you're starting to see that fun in football mentality come, which is cool.
What I saw in the Giants game that was a big turning point that I used to see with Rodgers, but I haven't seen in a few years, was we need a game, I think, to take the lead or to tie the lead against the Giants. And Jordan Love throws a pass to Malik Heath, and he catches it and then drops it in the end zone. And I look over to my dad, and I was like, he needs to throw it right back to Malik Heath so he can prove himself. The next play, he goes back, throws it to him. He takes the lead, and then we obviously lost that game. But I think that was a big turning point, and to go back to that receiver that we haven't seen in a little bit after a mistake.
Rodgers probably went to throw the ball to him in 2 or 3 weeks after he dropped it.
Remember last year when Watson dropped the first play of the season
against the Vikings, the touchdown.
And I don't think Rodgers looked at him, let alone threw a ball to him for like you said, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's the difference for sure.
But we do need to talk about this upcoming Sunday game. I just want to go down our little injury report right now. I heard rumors about Jair Alexander rolling his ankle like during warm-ups or something at practice. He didn't practice yesterday. A.J. Dillon did not participate yesterday. Jenkins didn't participate yesterday. So, I mean, the injury report a little bit not on our side. I think Zach Tom was limited, though. Did he practice yesterday? I think he was maybe limited.
He was limited yesterday.
So the whole did not practice thing doesn't scare me. We did this fantasy football draft, and when you get to like the 7th round, like you're scrapping for guys. You're just trying to find a guy that's on a roster, that might get on the field for a snap. And when you read the current news on each player, did not practice. This guy sat out, questionable because he didn't practice. I think that's just the way of coaches and organizations keeping guys safe. Like, let's be honest, you're a pro athlete. If you missed practice today, I don't know how much it's going to affect your game on Sunday.
I mean, late in the season, they like to rest these guys too. A lot of injuries, a lot going on. The Packers have proven all year long. I mean, we've had more injuries than anybody possibly. I don't know, but they seem to rise to the top, and playing another big game in Dallas, and we're 5-0 in AT&T Stadium. So
and I like it there. Especially
I brought that up last episode. I said, what do we do in Dallas?
3:25 game on Fox 2 makes me smile a little bit. Here's my only worry. I am getting a little scared that Jair might not actually play. I've heard a lot of rumors that that ankle's actually being rough right now. And if he doesn't play, what do you do about CeeDee Lamb? I think to win this game, we have to obviously score 35 points, I think. And, I mean, how do we stop CeeDee Lamb if Jair's not playing?
I think the Cowboys kind of came out and said, their 3 ways to beat the Packers this week was, obviously the CeeDee Lamb connection with Dak.
Yep.
They feel that they have the matchup there. They have the best pass rush defense in the NFL, and then it's a home game. I'd throw out the home game, obviously because we're 5-0. But it's a great question. How do you stop CeeDee Lamb? I mean, got a safety over the top and double team him, but there's a lot of weapons on the team. It's going to be a challenge if Jair is not around.
I really think it's going to come down to coaching. Who does their homework and who comes up with the scheme and a plan? Like you said, the best pass rush defense. Is LaFleur in the offense going to figure out a way to make them pay for that rush? Some quick stuff over the middle. Everybody's coming at you. Boom, quick. Get it out. Like the old school Favre, the quick screen pass, and guys are gone. Remember he used to hit guys on the slant? Like the ball snapped and out of the quarterback's hand.
I think a lot of double tight end action will chip the ends a little bit too. But, I mean, I think we can all agree this season the thing that has been disappointing is these defensive zones that Barry's put together. And I don't know if I'll be able to watch this team come fourth quarter if we're still having Preston Smith guard CeeDee Lamb or something like that.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
That's frustrating to watch.
And that's what I'm really scared about coming to this game. And that's why I think Jair needs to play so he can at least follow CeeDee Lamb.
I think Barry's playing for his or coaching for his job.
Absolutely.
If he goes and let's say CeeDee Lamb goes for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns and Pollard runs for $180 and a touchdown. And it's just like remember when we played in Kaepernick and we just couldn't stop? He was just running all over us. It was like we didn't have any idea what we were doing.
Oh, yeah, the Kaepernick, the Vic time. I mean,
The Kurt Warner time, he threw for like 5 touchdowns and only had like 5 incompletions.
If something like that happens, I think, even though they've come out and said he's not losing his job, but I think the state of Wisconsin will be calling for his head because there's a lot of people already unhappy with him. However, I do want to say the defense looked pretty good the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, they're showing spurts. I mean, I always conflicted. I get upset like every other fan with Barry and the defense sometimes because I think we all had bigger expectations of the defense, being in the top 5, top 10, maybe. But, in some cases, we have the talent. It's the team is out there. We've been bugged by injuries, but at the end of the day, the players got to step up sometimes, and they're not helping Barry's case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean the inconsistency, and they come back and have a good game, and then they have 2 bad ones, but you got to have the right scheme, and we'll see that in the playoff. I mean, but you got to remember McCarthy don't have the best record in the playoffs either.
He doesn't.
He has the tendency, and
he's old-fashioned.
He's old-fashioned. You're right. He's old-fashioned, and the Cowboys have choked. I mean, the last playoff game, I believe Crosby hit a game-winning field goal. We don't have Crosby anymore. We got a young Carlson. Makes me a little nervous.
He makes me nervous. I don't know why.
I could never trust an extra point.
I was just going to say, is it just me or has that guy missed more extra points than probably Crosby did in his career?
He's probably had 5 this year, I think.
And he missed that cheap shot 41-yarder last week. And I'm like, I mean, if you're in the NFL, that should be a gimme.
Well, in a big game like that, you think, oh, that's going to come back and bite us. And then we run the clock out at halftime, and that's 6 potential points that we blew off the board in a close game.
And that's when you can tell we're a young team. And that's a moment. But then at the end of the games, when we get the energy, we just keep rolling. And like you said earlier in the season, you brought up the point that the hurry-up offense is the Packers' best friend.
That was the other thing I was just about to say when we were talking about Love is I think it's taken a little time for LaFleur to really know how to use them and to kind of give them the keys. They were really conservative, I felt like, earlier this year. How many games did we go into the half with 3 points or go into the third? And then all of a sudden, okay, let's go hurry up. Or let's just speed it up a little bit, play with some tempo. And all of a sudden we score 21 points in the fourth quarter. It's like, Where was that for the first 3?
I think LaFleur even said like he held him back.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know what his potential was or could be, and he held him back. And I think 2 weeks ago, I think he basically said, I'm going to give you the keys and let you run what you're good at. And I think that was the biggest change.
I think at the start of the season, he had like a little Dodge 01 truck, and he's like, I'm not going to hand you the keys. You can borrow this truck. You can borrow it, but don't take it out too fast. Don't do nothing crazy. And a little bit ago, he's like, okay, you've been driving that truck pretty good. Hey, I got a Rolls Royce in the back right now. I'm going to give you these keys, and now you can take it. I don't got to be here holding your hand.
Well, with Rodgers, he didn't get a word in. Rodgers got to call every play and didn't ask for his opinion. So
Rodgers was the coach.
He was the coach on the field.
He really was. And I think that was part of the problem last year. There was really no pecking order. There was no, structure. It was kind of whatever Aaron Rodgers. It just got too centered around one guy, and that doesn't work in any sport.
Right.
When it's all about one guy, you're not. You can win and you can be good. You can go to Hall of Fame, but you're not going to win championships.
I ain't gonna talk about my boy like that. That's my boy, right? I won't speak. I won't say.
I love him too.
Love's leadership obviously has been great. Going back to this Cowboys game, I gotta ask you guys, offensive side of the ball, what do you guys want to see the most? I can tell you guys right now, I want to see run, hit a play action, get those guys running. That's what I really want to see. Aaron Jones has been hot recently.
Yeah, you got to feed him the ball. Right? He's had over 100 yards the last 2 or 3 games. If Dallas is going to be aggressive and blitz, we got to run the ball. We got to get Aaron Jones hot and heavy right off the bat. And use that second, third down, short yardage, and hopefully we take some time off the clock.
That's same thing. I like when we pass to the running back.
The screens, I like the screens.
I love that, especially when everybody's expecting something deep, and you just drop back and you just dump it quick to them in the flat and just get some blockers out there.
As long as we don't use the jet sweep inside the 5-yard line.
3 plays in a row.
Don't bring back the jet sweep of memories.
That's the thing, though. Sometimes I feel like we get so predictable. It's like, hey, it's 3rd and 1 on a huge drive. Let's throw a 40-yard bomb to the sideline. Like, what are we doing?
Remember McCarthy, he was the most predictable. 3rd down, John Kuhn fullback, 3rd and 1. We're handing the ball to Kuhn every time. Everybody knew it.
We're going to tell you what we're doing, but we don't care. We're going to
the old Bear Bryant philosophy. Yeah, I can tell you what we're going to do, but we're so good at it, it's still going to work.
No, but I really need us to use both of our tight ends. I'm really curious on how we're going to use both these tight ends coming into this game. I think they help Love a lot. Tight ends take the pressure off your quarterback. That's just a fact. When you have a big receiver like that, it's going to take the pressure off. And you bring up running back screens. I'm going to bring up tight end screens now. A little play action, dump it to the tight end, and let him do a little work and get you 8 yards.
Yeah, I think what will get us in trouble is looking for the home run play all the time. Like, feeling like we got to have a 50-yard bomb to break just 10 yards at a time. What's the old saying in football? Like, was it 4 plus something?
4 plus 4 plus 4 equals touchdown.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's really too it's again, we have a young team in the mental side of the game. It's penalties.
Oh,
I've watched the Packers, holding, false start, put us in 3rd and long quite a few times this year. Any game that we lost, we probably double-digit penalties. And when you have a young team in 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20, it's hard to come out of. And that's we got to be smart. And running the ball helps, but we gotta stay away from those penalties.
Who was the bonehead earlier this year?
Quay Walker.
Was it on a field goal?
Was it this year?
Last year, just zero discipline. I think that was
there was
this
2
year.
or 3 times that he.
Yeah, it's exactly 2 or 3 times, because it was on a field goal. Not that we were going to win the game. Like the percent chance of us winning was low, but he took it from low to 0 because he had a penalty on a field goal.
Sunday night, wasn't it? Was it a Sunday night?
Sunday night game, yeah.
Yeah, and remember?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. And
he ran and used the guy to jump off.
That's what it was. Yeah, it was one of our week 4 or something like that. And yeah, he jumped over the guy, which is obviously you can't do that. And then we saw last year. How many times the Lions game he got kicked out for what he shoved the personal trainer or something. Like, what are you doing? If the guy don't have pads on, don't touch him. I mean, that should just be common sense right there.
But going back to
He's
that
got a
young
lot of passion.
He does. No, he truly does, though.
Yeah.
And Quay Walker, he's had an exceptional second season. I love Quay Walker, and I love our linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
I think DeAndre Campbell might be coming back this week.
Well, he came back a little last week.
Yeah,
he played a little.
He was limited though, wasn't he?
Limited,
Yeah.
but he got some play time, and that was good to see.
And it's these young defensive players. You got those two. You got Luke Van Ness. He seems like he's finding his stride a little bit. He's not an every down player, but when he comes in, he brings that energy. Preston Smith. I mean, you see him doing the after a
Preston
sack.
Smith, I love him, but I don't like him guarding wide receivers.
no.
I love him on the field, but I don't love him guarding CeeDee Lamb on Sunday.
I think I said fire Joe Barry 4 times after that.
That was, yeah, I don't know how that hasn't been like a viral meme or something, like a joke about him.
Oh,
Who was it that he lined him up on?
JJ. I think it was
Yeah,
Justin
Justin
Jefferson.
Jefferson. It's like, what are we doing?
Every
But-
time like he does something, I always like search on Twitter Joe Barry. I just go through all the posts.
But speaking of defense, I think it's going to be a defensive play that either we're going to get picked or we're going to pick Dak.
And Dak makes those, not as much this year, but we all know Dak, when the lights are on, I mean, throw us a pick or the interception, man. Not the piano, man. The interception.
He's the interception man. But how nice would that be, right? You get like let's just say it's 27-24. The Cowboys are coming down the field like they're going to win this thing. And pick 6.
Oh, 6 on that.
Tink, tink, nail in the coffin. Let's go.
McCarthy falls to his knees, cries.
Retires immediately on the spot. Retires in the post game. Nick Saban takes over the Cowboys.
Jerry Jones might be on the field to fire McCarthy at that moment.
Makes it a whole big deal. He hires Jimmy Johnson back as the head coach.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Who knows this? I mean, everybody's getting fired as a coach.
Yeah.
Or retiring or quitting or.
It is crazy right now. I mean, having Pete Carroll out, Nick Saban retired, and now Bill Belichick out. It's kind of weird.
Did Pete Carroll get let go, or did he retire?
No, he's just like out as head coach. I think he might be an executive or something.
He's staying
with
on
the
as like an
Seahawks.
executive, yeah.
Yeah.
But we talked about this the other day. Kirby Smart, like he hasn't left Georgia, but I heard talks of him going to Atlanta, the Falcons.
Yeah,
like
he could go to the Falcons. Jim Harbaugh, I feel like that's a definite. He's out. I think he's out of college football. I'm not gonna lie.
So here's a question. Since this is a Packers show today, LaFleur, is his job pretty much safe for a while?
Yeah, a while.
Well, I think it depends on I think the Packer fans, the Packer, high level, I think they like LaFleur. I think as a Packer fan, we're giving him a chance to fire Joe Barry.
Yep.
If he doesn't do that, I think
It'll be a clean house type thing. Get them all out of there.
It could be a clean house. I like the guy. I like LaFleur. I think he brings a lot of excitement, passion. You watch the locker room, speeches after the game.
Yeah.
He's fired up.
He was fired up
game
on
ball.
Sunday.
I hope he sticks around. I want to see more out of him, but it's going to depend, I think, a little bit on what he does with Joe Barry.
I mean, personally, I like LaFleur. I know all the moms in the world like LaFleur.
I know Taylor. That's the only reason she watches the games with me. Hottie McFlurry or something she calls him. Got some name for him.
LaFleur, I think he's a good coach. And the thing me and Bailey have talked about on the podcast is about all these coaches getting let go. We think a little bit too early. And I think the hot seat is burning a little bit right now. And I put some ice on that hot seat. Let it cool down. Mm-hmm. Let these coaches develop a little bit. I mean, we just saw Gerard Mayo get hired as the Patriots head coach today. Mm-hmm. And, this is the guy, okay, if he doesn't have a winning season in a year or two, are they just going to fire him?
Well, that's it. The media it's what feels fancy this week. Mm-hmm. What do we talk about, right? I mean, the media blows up the good and they blow up the bad. And, now that he's having a couple good weeks in a row, it's quiet and, they'll focus on somebody else. Hopefully it's McCarthy next week.
I was shocked to see that the Bears are bringing back Eberflus or whatever his name is. Thought maybe he'd get fired, but
did he just get hired last year?
No, I think he's in his third or fourth year.
Third or fourth year?
Third year,
yeah.
I think.
But going back to what we were saying earlier about the small market versus large market, if the Packers are in LA or in New York City or in Dallas, there's probably some grumbling about LaFleur hasn't got it done. He had Rodgers all those years, and there's probably some grumbling. But he's in Green Bay, and in Wisconsin. We love our sports teams. We have some sympathy, some compassion. We understand it. We have the youngest teams. Like, hey, we're gonna be all right.
Well, I think that's what the naysayers, Viking fans, Bears fans, they look back. You've had, Favre and Rodgers for 20 plus years, and we got 2 Super Bowls out of it.
Yeah,
it's tough to swallow. I mean, we were good a lot of years, and we all know Super Bowl is not easy to come by. We lost a few NFC championships, but LaFleur hasn't got there yet. He's had 13-3 seasons. Mm-hmm. Last year was rough. But then look what he did with this team.
Okay, you look at any team other than the Patriots, or just not Tom Brady though, and Patrick Mahomes. Are we looking at the Super Bowl thing a little differently? Like we said, it's not easy to win a Super Bowl. Drew Brees, he's had one. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Mm-hmm. He has 1 Super Bowl. Phillip Rivers never got one. I think Big Ben might have 2. John Elway got 2 at the end of his career. Peyton Manning, his 2nd Super Bowl, he got benched that season. He had a terrible season that year. I mean, it's
Dan
not...
Marino.
Dan Marino never got one.
Trent Dilfer has one.
Yeah. Even like Kurt Warner, though. Like, who would have, Kurt Warner is a great quarterback, but at the time when he kind of emerged and got a Super Bowl, he wasn't in the conversation as an elite quarterback, top guy in the league.
Like, it's not easy to come by and to witness 1 Super Bowl. Yeah. I'm happy about that. I mean, I don't know how many franchises there's now that don't have a Super Bowl right now, but it's a decent amount, I think. So for us Packer fans, I think just having a fantastic quarterbacks, we expect to win the Super Bowl every year. But in reality, I mean, that's just so difficult to do. And Tom Brady really, I think, ruined that for
us
everybody.
older guys got to witness 2.
Yeah, you got the
we did. I can remember there's this bar back home. It doesn't even exist anymore, but my dad and my uncles, they went and they built this goalposts, and they had a big field goal kicking. I remember I was just a little kid, Whatever year. What year would that have been? That would have been.
Well, it would have been the 96 season, 97 Super Bowl.
Yeah,
which I happened to be at. Me and my uncle went to the game.
So heck yeah.
That was a good experience. Drove down to New Orleans in a conversion van, slept in it for 5 days.
Oh, heck yeah. That's the best kind of trip.
Little Bourbon Street.
That's nice. I remember I was at, I don't even remember what the place, it was called like Jardines on the Lake or something like that at the time. But I can just remember as a kid going there, and the people parked everywhere, and they had the parking lot cleared, and they did this punt, pass, and kick. A punt, pass, and kick at a bar, maybe not the best idea. It was pretty comical.
It is Wisconsin, Bailey.
But then, yeah, that's true. But then the second Super Bowl I was around for, I was actually living in Texas, and it was played in Texas.
Ice Storm.
Yeah, but the tickets were outrageous. It was like $2,000 just for any ticket. So we kind of discussed it. Me and some buddies were like, do we go up there and just like watch it somewhere near the stadium? We didn't. I can remember I went to a Packer place in Austin, Texas, where I watched it. And it was like anybody that was living in Texas or in Austin from Wisconsin found this place. Mm-hmm. It's called Billy's. Billy's on Burnett. Oh, man, we had a good time.
There's a lot of Packer fans down there.
I think I was like 6, and I got like Packer merch or something that I don't even know why I started loving the Packers so much. But I'm not Packers won the Super Bowl. There's a little video of me going crazy. I'm like, Packers won the Super Bowl. Packers won the Super Bowl. Going crazy. Then the next year, we didn't like lose a game all season, and then we lost in the divisional round, and I bawled my eyes out. So love-hate relationship of the Green Bay Packers.
Here's a question, and it's not completely out of reach. If Jordan Love takes this Green Bay Packers team to the Super Bowl this year, like what's that storyline? Like what's that? Like what do we? Does he like? What? Literally,
let's see. We got to beat the Cowboys, the Niners, and then what? The Lions or the Rams or
and
Philly.
And then in the Super Bowl, probably the Ravens is my guess. The Bills, but no, this is what I'm saying. Like, how will he ever top that? Like, your first year as a starter, you take the youngest team ever to make the playoffs to the Super Bowl. What are you going to do? How could you do better than that next year other than win every game and win it by 20?
Brady did that. But let me tell you guys this. Okay, we're talking about the teams we got to face and stuff. Okay, we faced the 49ers. We faced Mr. Irrelevant and Brock Purdy. I love Brock Purdy. I think he's a fantastic quarterback. But okay, he's no Drew Brees or Phillip Rivers or these other quarterbacks you've had to face. Okay, second round or NFC Championship. game. We'd have to face maybe old Matthew Stafford or Jared Goff or a Philly team that's not looking good. I mean,
would they lose 4 of the last 5?
Yeah, the road to the Super Bowl.
Well, second round we would play the winner of the Lions and Rams, right?
No, we'd play Niners.
Niners.
Oh, that's
they get
right.
their bye.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So I've seen like harder roads to the Super Bowl before. I'm not gonna lie.
And we all know McCaffrey goes down with an injury, which he seems to always get hurt. Mm-hmm. Like any team's one injury away from like being completely beatable in the playoffs. Let's just hope it's not us, because like, if we lost Jordan Love for any reason, I don't know Cliff the Big Red Dog's going to get us there.
Everybody wanted to see him 5 weeks ago. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it was true. Everybody was calling for old Cliff.
Hey, 2011, we were 6th seed. We went on the road all the way through and pulled it off.
Beat Philly, beat Atlanta, beat the Bears, and then beat those bad Pittsburgh Steelers.
But you've said it. What do they have to lose?
Nothing.
I don't think they're pressure. You know, it's not like you're going in there with this big.
There's
all this
zero pressure on them.
Zero pressure. Just go in and play. And like you said, they're having fun. Like they're bringing fun to football, and the guys are vibing. You know, they're just loving it right now. They're probably already down in Dallas. They're probably having some brisket.
Everybody's been
and ribs.
dogging on them all year. You know, they're in the playoffs. They're excited. They're young, and hey, I think we're going to see a really good football game.
I think we will too. And Brad, I know I was at you weren't there, but I was at your house 2020 when we faced the Buccaneers. I think you were at that game. And I can tell you that season, that's a season I was like, okay, the Packers need to go to the Super Bowl. And I was getting nervous myself. Couldn't sleep the night before. I mean, I was like, hey, nobody bug me. I'm going to eat some nice food. I'm going to get a good night's rest. I'm going over to the Westerns. I'm watching that game. And we lost that game, and I was depressed after that. I didn't go on social media forever. I didn't sleep after that. It's like, nobody bug me. Don't talk to me, okay? We lost that. Now coming into this season, I'm like, I didn't even think we were going to make the darn playoffs. Okay? Right. I mean, what do we have to lose? And I know those guys are just going to go out and have fun.
Doesn't it feel good, though, as a Packer fan? Like, the expectations have been so high.
Right.
And to go in a year like this where we are the youngest team, and as a fan, I mean, yeah, you get frustrated. You see the ups and downs, but we're here now. It's like, hey, whatever happens, happens. This is a winning season already. Like, our future's looking good. Let's just sit back, watch some Packer football, and have fun. I mean,
I'm way more relaxed going into this playoff as a fan
100%.
as I am if we're 13-3. You know, trying to prove. Like, I'm way more relaxed. I'm excited. Like you said, it's gonna be a great game on Sunday. Yeah. I'm pumped.
And what do you say? You don't know what you don't know? I mean, these boys don't know what they don't know. I mean, just go out and just do what you do.
Back to that 2020 season, you know, with COVID going on, and I was at the Rams game, you know, when Devontae scored. We won that game, LA Rams. And then we play that home game against Tampa. That may have been one of the saddest Packer games I've ever been to.
Yeah.
That was a tough one to swallow. Besides losing the Super Bowl to Denver, but that was a tough one to swallow, and seeing Tom Brady go out, you know, on the field again, and you know, that's a 3.5 hour drive home, and
that's a long. It felt like probably 12.
You have a 44-year-old man that teared up most of the way home. It's a hard one to swallow.
And people ask me like why I get so attached to the Packers, and it's like, you know what? I don't know. But it's just an enjoyment for myself.
It's in the blood, man. We're born here. This is our thing.
And people always ask me, okay, but at the end of the season, you always get disappointed. Okay, I know. But I don't care, because the one time when we do win it all again, I will be the happiest person alive, okay? And I just...
Hey, things could be worse. You could be a Viking fan, right? I mean...
That's the best part about it. Remember the Vikes win a couple of divisions, and it's like... They thought they were there. Right? They were like, oh, we are now what the Packers have been for the last 25 years. And they all got real complacent. They all got real... Guess what, guys? Minnesota's at home. Popcorn. They're spectators.
Mm-hmm. And all they got to look forward to is the NFL draft. That's all I got to look forward to. Yeah. I will say, though, Bailey, can we get a quick story time? A little pause on the Packer talk. A quick story time from Mr. Brad Wester. I do have a nice story that I know he has that I think the viewers would love. Tell us about him meeting your GOAT in Michael Jordan. It's a good story. I just tell the viewers about this story.
Ooh, MJ.
Wow, I didn't know you were going to pull this one out. But, this was back when, I have an aunt and uncle that live outside of Chicago and big Bulls fans, and I would go down there and work with them every summer, do odd and ends jobs, whatever, but he'd take me to Bulls games. And it was the year, I think it was 91, so I was a freshman in high school. I was down there that summer, and they were playing the Pistons in the playoffs. And we got done with the game, just normal, whatever, playoff game, Bulls win. We're walking out of the stadium, and as I guess what was I then, 15-ish? All I cared about was seeing Jordan. Like, I wanted to see 100%. Jordan. I want to see Jordan. We walk out to the place where all the cars are, the players come out to their cars, and the security guy comes over and he's talking with us, and my uncle's like, when does Jordan come out? And he goes, Jordan don't come out of this exit. He comes out of the back of the building. And by that time, 15-year-old sad, not going to see Michael Jordan. We're walking to our car, and around the corner comes a vehicle, and a license plate that says Jump 23.
You know who that is.
Well, you know who that is, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been more excited in my life. I took off running a block away, slid over the top of his headlamp.
He's probably like,
yeah, right? And all I saw was, his window kind of half down and his eyes looking out at it, and he's like, it's like, hey, how's it going? And that was the highlight of my life. 15 years old.
Oh my gosh, that would have been
was
awesome.
like, I kept saying, I jumped over the hood, I touched his light, which connected to his foot. So technically, I touched Michael Jordan.
You actually went for a car ride with him.
I went for a short second car ride with Michael Jordan.
That is classic.
It was, something as a young kid you don't forget, and you're right there by him.
So when I was living in Texas, the Final Four was in Houston, and North Carolina played Villanova. I can't remember exactly what year it was. And I was lucky enough to go, and we had like 15 rows up mid-court, and Jordan was first row. But he walked, I have a picture of him on my phone. He walked by, he was probably 100 feet away from me. But it was like the coolest thing. I was like, I'm this close to Jordan. Like, he has that like vibe, that aura about him. It's like, that is the greatest basketball player to ever walk the earth.
Yeah.
Quit rolling your eyes. You know that nobody feels that way when they see LeBron. We're not going to
talk about LeBron James.
Nobody feels that way when they see LeBron. Everybody's like, hey, there's that guy that flops and he's big wimp, gets poked in the eye and he needs to be carted off the court.
They even created a rule in the NBA this year.
Yeah. Right.
You can't flop. You get a technical.
I mean, what a turn of events this show has taken from talking about our sweet beloved Packers.
I actually have a funny Jordan story. So we had, growing up as kids, this group of guys used to come from Chicago. One of them owned a restaurant in downtown Chicago. The other one owned like a disposal company, whatever. It's kind of high profile guys, and they used to do a lot of stuff where they'd take like Bulls players and Bears players and White Sox on fishing charters. So they kind of got to see and meet all of them. And they'd come up and they'd hunt with our group up in Port Wing, which is a town of 300 people. So these guys are coming from Chicago, high profile guys out of Chicago, and they come up. Anyways, every year, and they would bribe us with like Bears stuff. If we were wearing Bears or Bulls clothing, they would give us like money, kind of just I think it was more of a joke with our parents.
Yeah.
So one year, Richie is his name, and Richie comes up and he's like, all right, for you and your brother, I have a Michael Jordan card, player's card, and I have a Michael Jordan life-size poster. Matt, you're the younger one. Which one do you want? What would you take if you were about a 10-year-old kid? Probably the life-size poster. So I take the life-size poster. I unravel it. I'm like, this is the greatest thing. I slap it on the wall. I'm so pumped. My brother gets the card.
Rookie card.
Autographed. Still sick to my stomach. Just thinking about it, I'm still sick to my stomach. So my brother has a Michael Jordan autographed rookie card.
That is insane.
And my brother's not. My brother played basketball a little bit in high school, but he's nowhere near the basketball nut that I am.
The question is, where's the poster now?
And that's why I lost it, right? But my brother is like, he doesn't even want possession of the card. He's like, my mom has it in a safe somewhere or whatever, because he's afraid to lose it. I just might one of these days be like, hey, Steve, you're a little short on cash. If I give you 500 or something. Like, that to me would be
500 is cheap for that.
But going back to this, to the story, like, I was so mad, and they wouldn't, life lesson. My parents like, you don't get to change. No, you pick the post. Granted, how would anybody have known that it was a signed Jordan rookie card? And it's funny because Richie he still comes up and hunts, and I should ask him, be like, hey, Richie. And it's funny, Richie's son is a guy, he's on the Pawn Stars. He's Steve Grad, the authenticator that comes on.
Really?
That's Richie's son.
No way.
Yeah, so I could easily be like, hey, Richie, have Steve go, his son's name's Steve too, like, have Steve go get a Michael Jordan card, have him get it signed, or have him find one somewhere.
He'll be like, I know a guy.
Right, because I would do anything to have that card. And maybe someday my brother will just be like, you know what, I'm not a basketball guy, you are. Here, you can have it. Fingers are crossed. Not going to hold my breath, though.
Well, Coach Bailey getting screwed out of a nice Michael Jordan card, but Brad Wester getting to be able to touch Michael Jordan.
Go for a ride with him.
Go for a ride for him.
Yeah.
But we are running out of time.
I want to have one question.
One question
that everybody's got to answer. Who is A, the best, and then B, could be the same, but it could be different, favorite Green Bay Packer of all time?
Ooh.
Who is the best? And if you want me to go first, I will.
You can go first. We want to go down the line?
I think the best Green Bay Packer is Brett Favre.
Okay.
I know statistically he also has 300 interceptions, but Brett, what he did, nobody played the game like he did.
Right.
He had so much energy. He made so many people around him better. His expectation, and he demanded that everybody be their best. He might stay out till 2 a.m. on a Saturday and have a couple beverages, but this guy came to play. This guy played through everything. So I'm giving my best to Brett Favre.
Favorite?
I'm giving my favorite to the brother that doesn't get enough love. Everybody wants to talk about Shannon Sharp.
Amen to that.
I want to talk about Sterling Sharp.
Would have been one of the greatest receivers of all time.
Yep, I just love
his jersey.
He's one of my favorites, Sterling Sharp. And if it's not him, to the late Reggie White.
I'm going to give my best player of all time. I think everyone knows where I'm going for this. It's Aaron Rodgers. And I don't really think it's an argument. I've seen this man 4-time MVP. He threw 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this season. I mean, this man is like that. He can put a team on his back. He says, I'm going to run the table. Everyone relax. We're going to make the playoffs. I mean, I've never seen anyone like him. And I love his personality. The stuff he says is so interesting to me sometimes. But my favorite of all time, most people are like, it's Aaron Rodgers, isn't it? Well, actually, the man who made me fall in love with the Green Bay Packers is Donald Driver.
Ooh.
He's my favorite Packer of all time.
Absolutely.
Smile won me over. Dancing on the Stars won me over. Donald Driver's my favorite.
Yes.
Well, I mean, with the picks that you guys made, it's hard to you can't go wrong there. I mean, that's Packer legends right there. I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to it's old school. It's when football used to be more real. Is Chuck Cecil.
I forgot about Chuck Cecil.
Chuck Cecil was
Heck yes.
a modern day Ronnie Lott type player.
Chuck Cecil, I forgot about that guy.
I one of my first Christmas present from my dad was a Lynn Dickey rookie card and a Chuck Cecil rookie card, and he's always been one of my favorites.
Absolutely.
But so that's my favorite player, Chuck Cecil. My best player. I'm going to go out and say Charles Woodson.
He was pretty phenomenal.
He was in that stage where he kind of changed the Packers.
He did.
He was a game changer, a leader. I just see a comment from him yesterday about how excited he is to see the Packers and Jordan Love overperform on expectations. So Charles Woodson.
He's a guy that definitely just what a fit for Green Bay.
Leadership he just got to change that whole thing. But quickly, predictions. Can we get some predictions for the game? Coach Billy, you go first.
I'm going to say Green Bay 28, Dallas 21.
Those Cowboys are cooking right now. They haven't lost at home all season. I think Mike McCarthy, because having those guys play this year out all the years the Cowboys could go to the Super Bowl. It's obviously this year. I mean, I do love the Green Bay Packers. And that's why I'm going to pick the Green Bay Packers. Though Jordan,
I knew you were going to do that.
I was going to walk off the show if you.
Yeah, I was about to quit. my resignation.
Green Bay Packers
What
win.
did you say?
38-34.
Ooh, shootout. Let's go. It's a little shootout in the South, a little standoff. Here we go. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with those scores. I think you guys are giving the Cowboys too much credit. But Sunday, 3:25, Joe Barry redeems himself. Pack 27, Cowboys 3.
Let's go. Let's do it. I love it. And the pack is back.
Pack is back after
I'll tell you what, if that prediction is even close to right, our pack's going to the Super Bowl.
And we're having Brad on every week.
Brad will be back every
Three
week.
words, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. I think we can all agree we're going to be sitting at our houses or wherever watching this game with our phones in hand, texting each other, going back and forth.
You know what? We're going to end the show off with that. Go Pack, go. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Packers going to get a dub this weekend. Go Pack, go. Let's get away.
Let's go Pack.
Go
That's
Pack.
all I got.